What has Excelsior's domain been picking up from eBay? Let's have a look. Now, I did not make these models, and these were really just a sort of a best guess on my part in terms of picking them up, because I know my Eagle Moss models, so I knew from the pictures that they weren't Eagle Moss models because the stand was completely wrong, because the Eagle Moss stands are very sort of flat and black. They're not this sort of up sort of rounded hemispherical kind of stand, so I knew it wasn't Eagle Moss. And that intrigued me from the outset, because I thought, I wonder what they are then, because they're too big to be sort of toy size from the looks of it. And I thought, I'm sure I've seen some of these stands before somewhere. Now, I think that these are Polar Light 1000th scale model kits that have been painted up and look absolutely gorgeous. And I got 4 of them in one lot from eBay. And this one is clearly a Miranda class, but it's been named the USS Nautilus. And when I saw that on the pictures, and I thought, okay, this can't possibly be a sort of a pre-prepared, constructed model, because somebody's clearly given it its own name for their own reasons, because there's no chance that anyone would have done anything other than they're aligned as a Miranda class. So someone's gone to the effort of actually naming this as their own sort of ship idea. And it's even got a little brass plaque down the bottom here which restates its name and its registry. And I just thought that was brilliant. So I had a little bit of an adventure with this, because I thought, well, hang on a minute, I can't trust someone. Well, no, it's not that I can't trust the seller, but I can't trust the delivery people to send this in such a way that it's not going to get smashed to smithereens in the process of being sent. I mean, what were the odds of something like this actually surviving? So I thought, okay, I noticed that the seller was relatively local to me, and I said, is there any chance that we could actually meet in a public place, obviously safety first, and exchange them that way? And he was in complete agreement with that, because he didn't want them to get wrecked either. Now, as I recall, they actually came from his father-in-law, and from the sounds of it, his father-in-law actually had a huge collection of ships and cars and so on. I believe there were some Space 1999 Eagles going as well, that I'd completely not noticed, and this was one of the final auctions that the guy had set up, I think. I don't think he was a regular eBay user, and the description on these wasn't sort of huge, but eBay just sort of threw it at me, and as soon as I saw the pictures, as I say, I was kind of intrigued, because I would never personally buy a model kit. It's just not my thing. I'm not good at model kits particularly, and I could tell immediately that these had had a lot of care and attention. Whoops, that's okay. Given to them in terms of putting them together. And I just thought, what are the odds of me ever actually seeing something like this again on eBay? Because clearly this is not a standard thing. You would not normally see this on eBay. So, or indeed anywhere for that matter, because obviously it's going to be quite unique, quite bespoke. So I thought to myself, well, okay, let's take the risk. Let's run out there and go and grab it and hope that I don't get swizzled. But I hadn't paid a huge amount for them at all. And I thought, well, they're coming in cases, and the cases are okay. The black edging around the bottom here is a little bit sort of weather worn, if you like. I think it's probably where it's been exposed to maybe a little bit of sun, and maybe it's just the glue showing on the wrong side of it, and that against the sort of plastic. I think they will come out. I haven't actually tried to extract them yet, and I do say them because I will show you the others shortly, but I just thought it was such an unusual thing to pick up, to get 4 ships in the same lot and be able to actually go and physically pick them up and chat to the seller a little bit and just learn about the sort of the backstory to it. And I don't think the guy selling them was just trying to clear. I think his father-in-law had passed away, bless him. So you know, this was just one of those ones where you trip across it. This you know, these items that someone's collected over their life, and it's just nice to think that, you know, you can give them another home where they'll be appreciated. Not, you know, and obviously I can do this with them as well. So this was the Miranda class, and let me lift up and show you a little sort of top view there as well. So as you can see, you know, it's a really nicely detailed kit. It's a very, very well detailed kit. So I was really sort of thought it was impressive. I mean, even the Aztecing on it's subtle and it's there, but to my mind, that's a lot better than some of the really sort of blatant Aztecing that you see on the hull of some of these pre-constructed ships. You know, so I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful piece of sort of, you know, custom model painting and everything else. And even though it's a totally random registry, I don't really care because it's really nicely done. So let's go back in time from there, because again, this was another one that made me think, I don't think this is a standard model kit model at all, because this isn't the Enterprise. This is not the NX-01. This is the NX-02. This is Columbia. That's how it's been. You know, that's the registry that this one's been given. And as you can see down the bottom here again. It's got a nice little brass plaque on it to say Star Trek Enterprise NX-02 Columbia. So someone's gone to the effort of, you know, either making these cases or having them made for his ships. And I think it was also kind of taped down on the bottom here with a view to transportation ultimately. But obviously that didn't end up having to be the case, fortunately. But again, it's I imagine it's just another 1/1000th scale, and I imagine it's polar light. I did a little bit of research just on YouTube just to see if I could get an idea of size, and they're all about a foot long, so it's about sort of 2 hands worth for me, something like that. So it's kind of, you know, it's definitely there and thereabouts scale wise, because I believe that the original Enterprise was around the 300 yards mark apparently, and if you multiply that up to feet, you get about 1,000 feet. So 1 to 1,000 would seem to make sense on that basis. That's quite difficult to get this one because it's right up to the top of the box, but it is really, really, again, just very, very nicely done, and not something I would ever attempt myself. Let's just go over the top of this one as well. But yeah, again, just really, really nice thing to pick up off the back of a very sort of random eBay auction. I mean, had it not been so close to me, we actually went to and picked up from Hebden Bridge Station of all places. But I just thought if it hadn't been that close, I definitely would have had major second thoughts, because had he not volunteered the idea of, you know, sort of going to actually meet physically together to get it, I thought I probably would have passed on it, because I just would have been very wary of them getting damaged in transit. So now we move on to one of the ones that really drew my eye somewhat inevitably, because this is such a classic Star Trek ship. It's a lot of people's favourites, this one, and it is of course the NCC 1701 refit from the motion picture, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's really gorgeous. Nice bright white sheen to it, but a lot of detail on it as well. It's really, really nice. So I was so pleased with this. It's just really, really nicely done. And as I say, I don't know if this was done by the gentleman who owned it, or if he picked it up from someone else, or he commissioned it. You know, that background, I'm afraid I don't know, which is a shame, but nonetheless, I think it's a nice representation of the refit Enterprise. It's just big enough that you can see, you get a lot of the detail. You know, you can see docking ports and RCS thrusters and the phases and everything else, but it's not so big that it's going to crush itself under its own weight. You can see it's kind of bouncing around on its stand. It's just the right sort of Goldilocks-y sort of size, I think, to be present but not be in danger of really sort of you know, structurally damaging itself. So it's really, really impressive as these things go, I think. And as I say, unfortunately, this one they had chosen to do the Enterprise registry on it, so that kind of works. It's not a made up constitution. It's just the standard Enterprise. But again, great for display purposes. To have it on a stand ready to go, that's just terrific. So yeah, really, really pleased with that. It still amuses me that this version of the Enterprise doesn't have aft torpedo launchers. It just seems such an oversight on someone's part that it doesn't have aft torpedo launchers. But anyway, I digress. But again, it's good. I mean, I think you can get light kits for these. I imagine that you'd have to put them in when they were being constructed. Obviously, I don't think there's any sign of any wiring or anything in these, so I think they just come. They're just coming as is, basically, which is fine. And this seems to be one of the few. Oh no, it does have a plaque actually. You just have another little plaque just down the bottom here. So again, someone's gone to the trouble of just making sure that it's named, which is nice. Yeah, so yeah, it's just a really nice sort of display piece. I'm not quite sure where or how I'm going to display it. But I'm just looking across at my rather large Playmates original series Enterprise and thinking, yeah, it's actually smaller than that. I know you can get 1/350 scale Enterprises and so on, but I mean, obviously those would be they would be logically 3 times bigger than this, I think. So you'd need a lot of space on your shelves for that. But as I say, I think this is just a really, really nice size. It's bigger than the Eagle Moss. Well, I'm saying it's bigger than. Now that I've said that, I'm going to have to go and get it. Bear with me a moment. A short while later, I reappear with an Eagle Moss XL Enterprise. Now, as you're looking at it, you might think that the Eagle Moss XL Enterprise is actually bigger, but it isn't. That's just a perspective issue. They are. I would say the Eagle Moss one is like sort of 1 to 1100th scales. It's just that little bit smaller, and it's actually the A refit. So yeah, it's not as big. It's not as big as the kit, which of course is often one of these problems that you get when you're trying to do side-by-side comparisons, or get ships that are all in the right scale, because they're often all in very, very different scales. But so for reference purposes, this is what you probably get a better idea there of the size differential. So it's just a little bit smaller than this modelled kit one that I've picked up. But both very, very nice ships. But the model version I've gotten for a song compared to what I probably paid for the XL Eagle Moss at the time. So there is that. But yeah, it's a really, really lovely sort of example of the Enterprise. So I have one more. That wasn't the entirety of the pickups. Let's have a look at the last one. Arguably, this is the biggest of the bunch, just a little bit. Because here we have the Galaxy class Enterprise 1701-D. And obviously, this is a very, very well-known ship as well, in and of itself. Besides the Enterprise refit 1701, but again, this is kind of scale-wise. I was going to say it must be the same scale as the Enterprise D, but I'm probably wrong on that. And I say I'm wrong on that because this actually almost looks smaller as I'm looking across between the two. It looks smaller than the Enterprise refit that we were just looking at, but of course the Galaxy class is much bigger in real life than the Enterprise refit. So let me just try and get my maths brain on this. So this presumably would be a smaller scale, so it would be more like sort of 1 to 1200 scale or something like that. to get it the same size as the Enterprise refit because it's a bigger ship. I think that logic works. But nonetheless, it's still a really, really good looking ship. It's a good looking rendition of the Enterprise D. Now, the problem I often have with the Enterprise D models is that they seem to make it much darker than it appeared on screen. Now, this one I would say is a bit borderline for my own personal taste, in that it seems quite dark and quite grey. And for some reason in my head canon, the Enterprise D always seems a bit lighter than this, but I guess a lot of it depends on whether or not your memories of it are sort of analog or digital, in many respects. Let me bring the camera down a little bit so you can see the navigational deflector, because the detail on that's pretty good as well. Actually, a little bit tricky to get down low enough to see it. But again, it's a really, really good representation of the Enterprise D. There's no doubt about it. If I hold it up a little bit, that's probably the best way to do it, I think. So yeah, it's there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, to my mind anyway. I mean, others might disagree, but size-wise, I just think it's a really lovely size that they picked to do these, because you can see at a distance, you can see what they're supposed to be immediately. It's really, really obvious what they're supposed to be. There's no mistaking them for anything else at all. And as I say, you can actually see them at a distance, which is a decided advantage. There's no two ways about it. So for display purposes, I think that's brilliant. There's no two ways about it. So I'm sort of humming and hawing of what to do with them. As I say, it's kind of do I display them as they are? Do I sort of try and find an alternate display methodology? Do I just display them free and clear of the cases? Because the cases, as I say, looking a little bit weather worn, a little bit. I've cleaned them up a touch, but I think inevitably it's just an age thing with them, probably as much as anything else. Just the glue's quite old in places, so it's just, I don't know. If you've got any suggestions, then obviously give me a shout in the comments and let me know how you would do it, because they seem to be quite sturdy. None of them have even vaguely suggested to me that they're about to drop off their stands. Obviously the stands were quite integral in terms of the design of the model, so there doesn't seem to be any risk of them coming adrift from their stands at all, which is great. So I'm very happy with that, on that basis, that they're not going to be unstable. It's just, what do I do with them for the best, really? Because obviously the last thing I want to do is have these crashing down, and I'm already sort of jittery when I'm moving them around the house. So it's just, I need to find a safe way to do something sensible with them where I can actually see them. So that's one for me to ponder, though. But I thought I'd just limit this particular pickup video to these, because obviously there are a number of items there in and of themselves, and it's a little bit of a crossover to my my Trek Toys playlist. But obviously, from my own point of view, I would never class display models like this as toys as such, because they're not there for playability, they're there for display purposes. At the end of the day, it is what it is, So yeah, I will leave you there to admire the D, and if you are a model maker, then obviously let me know what you think of what you've seen of these, and do please correct me if I'm wrong about which kits they are. I'm literally going on a best guess basis, and I haven't had them out of the cases. They might say more about what they are on the underside of the stands. It's quite possible. But from what I've seen online, I'm guessing that they are the Polar Lights kits, but the smaller ones rather than the 1350s. So, as I say, let me know in the comments if you think I'm right or wrong on that, and I will see you for the next one very soon. Cheers for now.